Hello, and welcome back to the accounting module. In our previous lesson, we reviewed all the bank settings under the configuration menu. In this lesson, we will continue exploring the configuration menu by exploring the accounting settings. Let's navigate to Accounting Configuration. We can see a number of different options available to us under the accounting section. In this lesson, we will focus on setting a chart of accounts, taxes, journals, currencies, fiscal position, and journal groups. Let's click on Chart of Accounts. As mentioned in previous lessons, when the localization module is installed and linked to your accounting module, most of our accounting settings are pre-configured, including your chart of accounts, taxes, and currencies. The chart of accounts is an essential tool in any accounting system to provide a complete list of all the accounts used in your business. It organizes your accounts in a structured way, allowing a user to easily track financial transactions and generate accurate reports. You can either use existing Odoo accounts as is, or you can also choose to update some codes and account names to match your business requirements. By default, Odoo structures the accounts based on sequence number. For example, all fixed assets starts with code 0, other assets with 1, liabilities with 2, equity with 3, and so on. Odoo has the very helpful functionality to filter based on the starting account code, as we see on the left-hand side. For example, to view all the liability accounts, we can select number 2, like so, and all the accounts starting with number 2 will be displayed. Let's click on All again to review all the accounts. All the accounts in this view will either be reported under the profit and loss statement or balance sheet, based on the account type that you define under column 3. Updating a record is as simple as clicking on View in the far right and changing the code and name. Let's see this in action by selecting View on one of our listed journals. Let's now review all the settings under the Accounting tab. We have Type here, which helps you define the type of accounts you are setting up. Based on what you select, it will either be qualified as profit and loss item or a balance sheet item. We see which different category types fall under by selecting the drop-down menu, like so. The Default Taxes field allows you to define a default tax that would default when posting a journal entry. This is one way to ensure users do not forget to add the tax when posting entries by making a default tax. Tags allow you to report the item on the cash flow statement either as investing, operating, or financing activities. Allowed journals allows you to restrict the journal under which the account is allowed. For example, if you want the patent and trademark account to be only allowed under the vendor bill journal and restrict this account from being used elsewhere, you can apply vendor bill as the allowed journal by starting to type vendor and selecting the respective journal, like so. Account currency allows you to restrict the account from having transactions in any currency other than the one defined here. To allow for transactions in any currency, we can leave this field blank. The Allow Reconciliation feature allows the account to be reconciled and matched with another entry. For example, you could follow your VAT liability account to allow reconciliation where the due amount is posted into this account and a payment is then matched against the due amount, requiring both the posted amount and the payment to be matched or reconciled. The deprecated field allows you to retire an account from your accounting. Ticking this field will restrict this account from being used for any new entries. The Group field would allow you to group the accounts under a subheading. To set up this feature, we need to activate the developer mode. To do this, let's navigate back to the main menu, Settings, and scroll down to select Activate Developer Mode. Let's now navigate back to Accounting, Configuration, Account Groups. Let's say we want to group all the revenue accounts under the category Revenue in the Profit and Loss report. For that, we can create a new account group called Revenue. Under the code prefix, we will set it as from 400 to 400 and save. If we return to the chart of accounts, click the shortcut on the left to the accounts beginning with a 4 and select View on the Sales Category 1 account. We can see that Group has now been populated with the 400 revenue account group we just created. Now, if we run a profit and loss report by going to Reporting, profit and loss, then click on the Posted Entries Accrual Basis button to apply the hierarchy and subtotals from Options, you can see there is a subheading named 400 Revenue. Let's now deactivate Developer Mode by clicking on the bug icon at the top of the screen and selecting Leave Debug Mode. Let's return to our Accounting Configuration menu, and under the Accounting heading, select Taxes. We see that all the standard tax codes such as sales and purchase, zero rated and exempt are already pre-configured in Odoo. Depending on your business needs, you can update or add additional tax codes by selecting New. Setting up new tax codes can get complicated, so it is advised that you should consult an Odoo accounting expert for additional support. The next setting under the Configuration Accounting menu is Journals. Each journal entry within Odoo is automatically linked to a journal based on where you post the entry form. For example, when posting a customer invoice, the journal entry will be linked to the customer invoices journal, or when you post vendor bill, the entry will be linked to the vendor bills journal. This allows users to sort the journal entry based on journal when auditing the entries. Although all the journals are pre-configured, we advise that you seek advice from an Odoo accounting expert where you think an additional journal is needed for the business, as creating new journals can get complicated, depending on your business requirements. The next setting under the Configuration Accounting menu is Currencies. Under this view, you can view the currencies that are auto-enabled by the system. Where necessary, you can enable new currencies. For example, let's say we trade with a customer in Sweden, and we want to enable the Swedish krona currency in our system. We can simply search krona and enable this currency by switching this button on, like so. Let's click into the Swedish krona and we see all the settings relating to this currency, such as its shortcode and name. We can also add the conversion rate under the Rates tab, which can be set manually or automated based on the configuration we defined under Configuration Settings menu, which we already discussed in Lesson 4. The next setting under the Configuration Accounting menu is Fiscal Positions. Fiscal positions allow you to override the base default tax and accounts. For example, let's say our company's default customer tax code is standard rate 20% sales, and we want to make sure that all Irish customers get exempt tax. Let's select New to create a fiscal position. We will call this Irish tax. Click Detect automatically, and under Country we will set it as Ireland. Under the tax mapping table, we will define the tax product as standard rated 20% sales and tax to apply as exempt sales. This configuration will make sure that every time an invoice is created for an Irish customer, they are applied with the exempt sales tax code. The same process can be done for accounts under the Account Mapping tab, where we can define that every time we record revenue from an Irish customer, instead of using a standard sales account, we will allocate revenues from Ireland under a dedicated sales account. The next setting under the Configuration Accounting menu is Multi-Ledger. Each company in the consolidation scope has its own standard accounting ledger, where all the regular day-to-day transactions are recorded. Multi-Ledger includes all the other companies' consolidation adjustments journals, which allows for viewing the total impact of all the adjustments. The final setting under the Configuration Accounting menu is Financial Budgets. Financial budgets are structured around specific income and expense accounts and transactions for official financial reporting and compliance purposes. On the Profit and Loss report, financial budgets which have been set can be displayed to compare actuals with expectations using the Budgets button in the top bar. That's it. We've reviewed the settings available under the Configuration Accounting menu. Why don't you head to the next lesson, where we will continue to explore the other settings under the Configuration menu. Thanks for watching, and until next time.